Hi, I'm Whack.
And I'm Pat. And this is another episode of the Weekly Orbit for the week ending August 11th, 2023. This is where we try to consolidate all the exciting Rocket Pool news for the week into one 30-minute episode. And as usual, Whack, it's been another exciting week in Rocket Pool. We had some great, I don't want to call it drama in Discord, but some RPL pump because of, I guess, a new benefactor, we would call him, or him or her. And then we've got some other RPL news. We've got some rETH integrations. We've got all kinds of stuff we'll get into. But I see you, looks like you got yourself another haircut.
Yeah, I got my haircut. Like I'm going to a wedding this weekend, and I thought I'd get cleaned up a little bit for it. So, yeah.
Oh well, you clean up well.
Thank you.
It's exciting. Okay, so let's start out with some stats. We had some goals that were met this week. We had 3,100 node operators come online. That's really nice, as we see here. And then in terms of the validators, let's take a look at the validator queue. So all these nodes came online. Looks like the current wait time, there's no wait time in the Rocket Pool queue because we got a full deposit queue. A deposit pool, I should say. But we do have a little bit of a wait on the entry queue to the beacon chain. What's your analysis on this? It looks like it's been trending downward.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that we should talk about the node operator number as well that we kind of would make sense to clarify. So that node operator number is up only. So when someone spins down their Rocket Pool validator, there's no way for the system to uncount that node from being a Rocket Pool node. So that's one of the things that we should really pay attention to there, because I think the number 3,100 sounds really great, and it is really great, but the reality of it might be that we're 100, maybe 200, maybe even 300 nodes short of that now because of people who have withdrawn their stake after Atlas, right? And then, sorry, after Shanghai, and then Atlas for Rocket Pool that let you withdraw your staking. So that was something that we should keep in mind. Another thing as well is just because it says 3,100 doesn't mean that's 3,100 people. That could be people running multiple validators as well, and a bunch of those are with all nodes, maybe around 500 to 700 depending on estimates as well. But that is wonderful. I'm not trying to lessen the milestone.
Party.
Yeah, I'm not trying to crash the party. It's really, really wonderful, right? And by any metric out there, Rocket Pool is by far the most decentralized, the biggest node operator set, all of that amazing stuff. But it might be that a little bit less amazing than we think it is.
Is there a way to quantify the net amount of node operators that we have?
I think there are ways of digging into what node operator is doing what, but I think it's a problem that hasn't been solved yet. But I'm not even sure if people are actively working on it at the moment. But they've started conversations about that. So it might be that gets worked on in the coming weeks and months. I think Grafana now actually with the latest update with 1.10.1, the latest smart node stack, I think the Grafana update in there actually shows the exited mini pools. So hopefully we're not too far from fixing that. But that's just something to keep in mind.
Sure.
Yeah.
And so we're at 27 days. So that's kind of significant because if you want to stay within the rewards period to get your RPL rewards, you kind of want it below 28 days, don't we?
Yeah, so what happens is if you are a node operator that is very high collateral node operator, above 75% really, or up to 150, whatever, some people even above 150% in their collateralization, what happens is when you reduce your bond, the same number of mini pools that you had before has double the RPL, that's the collateral for it. So it's a lot easier for people who are high collateral node operators to go above maximum effectiveness. So they start losing RPL rewards, and in the extreme cases their RPL rewards would go down by half until their new validators came online. So the reason why the 28-day number is really important, ideally around 25 days to get through bottlenecks on the Ethereum side and the Rocket Pool side, etc. If you get it down to 25 days, that means as soon as the next snapshot happens for the rewards, if you bond reduce all your mini pools at that time to LEB 8s, what will happen is that your collateral, by the time the next reward snapshot is taken, all your collateral will be fully counted again, so you won't lose any RPL rewards. And now with gas being low on the weekends, down to the low teens, and there being no Rocket Pool queue, I'm strongly predicting that in the next, right after the next reward snapshot, that weekend maybe, we're going to see a whole lot of people reducing their bonds, some of the big whales. And we've got some signs of that already. That's why I'm so confident in making that prediction.
Right, and that'll in turn reduce the deposit pool, which is maxed out at around 18,000, which will allow more folks to mint our ETH. So it's a nice flywheel.
They'll be able to mint our ETH at market value instead of the premium that we have now.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and then talking about another milestone, our friend Jasper, who, by the way, I thought you had some nice words during the week about him. He's such a great flag bearer for Rocket Pool in the crypto community, and I'm really appreciative of all the work he does, and he's just a good flag bearer for the protocol, don't you think?
The thing that I think about Jasper that I didn't really say in in my little ode to Jasper in the episode yesterday was
your bro love.
My love letter.
I've got bro love for him too, so don't worry.
Yeah, no, of course I'm totally open about it. But the thing that makes Jasper so amazing is he has this amazing enthusiasm, but it's not just his enthusiasm for Rocket Pool; it's also his really deep knowledge about Rocket Pool and crypto, that I think those two things together make him the most amazing cheerleader for Rocket Pool, right? Because I'll be honest, I'm a cheerleader for Rocket Pool too, right? But for me to understand some new idea, I have to sit down and kind of think about it for a minute and kind of understand it. Whereas Jasper already has that understanding, so he's able to really make any messaging about Rocket Pool really effective out there in the world. It's just amazing to see. So
he's awesome. Well, he tweets here that Rocket Pool, our ETH has crossed 500,000 our ETH. Huge congrats to the whole community. Total TVL is just under 1 million ETH, and the biggest scaling and APR upgrades are still coming. So that's great. But as we know, we go to the Rocketscan here. Supply is now at just a hair under 500,000. We're at 499,265. So that as people mint, they sometimes redeem, and burn. So we're flirting right there at the edge. So we were over 500,000 probably for a moment, and now we're just below it.
One of the things that's really limiting us right now is if you go to the deposit pool tab. I don't know if you have it open or not, but deposit pools, new deposits have dried up completely. So that's and now if people want our ETH, they'll have to pay the premium for it, right? Right now it's about 0.5%. So they pay that premium, and because of that premium, there's very few people that are going to buy into that. So if you have a look over here on August 8th, there was 175 ETH deposited compared to thousands in the days before, and that's where we maxed out. So it's that's been the case since then. It's pretty much down to zero now because we're above the 18,000 cap, and because of that it's limiting our growth because there won't be any new RETH coming onto the market because anyone who's buying RETH is buying it from someone else who already has it, right? And the only RETH number will only go down as people burn it. There's no way to mint new RETH right now, so that's why that number is it went above 500,000 and now why it's back down below 500,000. But hopefully, in the next few weeks, if these big whale reductions happen, then that will really give us another boost of RETH growth.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of the folks with the whales have been sitting on the sidelines waiting for the beacon chain queue to kind of reduce the gas costs or lower, so everything is kind of coming into alignment here for those bond reductions. Quickly, in terms of Rocket Arb, and I was reading this in Discord and it gets a little technical, but could you explain for a new node operator or someone who's going to start a new mini pool what Rocket Arb is, and is it available right at this moment?
Right. So Rocket Arb is this really amazing tool that Ramana came up with, and a couple of other people have like kind of worked on it and iterated it as well. But the way it works is it acts as an incentive for people to start new validators. Now let me explain how it works. When the deposit pool is full and people still want rETH, they have to buy it on the secondary market. And because then there's no new supply coming in, but there's still demand, that pushes up the price of rETH compared to where it should be at market value if you're getting it from the deposit pool. So, at the extreme earlier on, it hit 3% over fair value, and that is basically like nearly half a year's of rewards basically for rETH, which is a huge deal, right? Like
Sure.
that 3%. So what you would be able to do in that situation is when you start a validator, you would bundle it into a flashbot and into a flashbot transaction. So you would start your validator in one transaction, and in the same transaction, you would also buy rETH, you would mint rETH and deposit pool and sell it immediately on the secondary market. So all that would happen in one transaction, and people were pocketing like up to like 0.3, 0.4 ETH for each mini pool that they were spinning up. Now that works when the balance is at 18,000. Sadly, right now, as you can see on the screen, the balance is over 18,000. And the reason for that is we have exits now that we didn't have before from staking. So now when the balance of the deposit pool is at 18,000 and people exit their validator, that ETH that comes from those validators just gets added onto the deposit pool. So that's how the balance can go over 18,000 in there. Now that will have to get cleared. So basically what needs to happen is we need no new people withdrawing their mini pools, but we need some people to add their mini pools without an ARB to get it down to 18,000 and that equilibrium point where where you can kind of game the secondary market in doing that. So we just need like 10, I think, validators to come online, even less now maybe, new validators to come online for it to hit that sweet spot. But
Right.
we're not there yet, sadly. And people are waiting, right? People are like, why should I be the
Yeah.
person who spins
Yeah.
up a validator and not get that half ETH reward potentially, or like 0.25 ETH reward or whatever, when they can just wait until that clears. So it's kind of like this game of chicken that's taking place. But the byproduct of that is that the Rocket Pool protocol is like grinded to a halt, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, good explanation. Okay, let's move on to some RPL stuff. And earlier this week in Discord, we had elpresidank came in and started a little party, I would say. Elpresidank says, I will stake all... well, no, I think let me go back a little bit.
You just went past it, I think. I have 600 ETH, let's pump.
Yeah, here it is. I have 600 ETH, let's pump. Okay, it gets a couple eyeballs, right?
Yeah.
And then, a couple funny comments after that. Dipsy says, can I have some? And then elpresidank then says, I will match RPL buys if transactions are posted here. And then that caught some more eyeballs. Okay, and later down the thread here, elpresidank again says, I will stake all. Here's my node address. If you don't believe me, here it is on either scan. And then now people start getting serious, like, whoa, wow, what's going on here? So this went on for maybe an hour or two in Discord.
Yeah,
I was not online at the time, but perhaps you can give us some context of what happened after this challenge. This kind of reminded me, for your explanation, of, you remember you watch these like telethons on TV and someone say, hey, ABC corporations, or no, some anonymous donor says they will match every donation up to $1,000. So call in now in the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So what happened here?
So actually, we should go back a step first. I think the sentiment in Discord has been absolute like garbage recently. Sorry, right? Like it's been really horrible. Like there's been so much negativity, and the price of the RPL token being down as much as it has been really painful for a lot of people, and understandably so, right? And like I'm not begrudging them that. However, the impact of that is that the sentiment in the Discord has been really low. It's been really bad. Now, at this moment, elpresidank came in, the ratio was 0.0131. So that was basically the bottom, which in turn, it looks like at the moment, it looks like it's to the bottom so far. So El President comes in and says, look, here's what my plan is. I want to buy 600 ETH of RPL, and anyone who buys, exactly just like the telethons, right? Like I'll match their buys.
Yeah,
So people are just kind of like, who's this guy? We don't really know him. Like he's kind of new here, like, and making these big, bold assertions. So Jasper was the first. I guess he was ready to buy some RPL anyway, and Jasper bought some. And then El President shares a transaction of him also buying the same amount that Jasper bought. So then I go second. There's Jasper, and he said, "Let's give a POAP to all the people who buy, and we'll get a POAP." So if you scroll up a little bit more, I think that was Jasper's transaction. There you go. Look, Jasper.
Right here,
So that's Jasper. So he bought. And then he said, let's give a POAP to all the people who buy, and El President matches with. So then Jasper does it. I had some USDT sitting around that I've been kind of like waiting for a time to buy. So I was like, okay, this is a good time for me. So I bought some and shared the transaction. And then El President mirrored that as well. And then the snowball started, and eventually like Kane from the team bought, Grant from the team bought, Marceau came back into trading just for this, to say, hey, what are all you nerds up to?
I saw that.
Which was really fun. But Marceau then bought as well, and then El President matched it. All in all, I think El President matched over 200 ETH of RPL buys. So, he bought 200 ETH of RPL. The community bought 200 ETH of RPL. So that 400 ETH of RPL really gave us a nice bounce off that 0.013 point. And it went all the way up to like 0.014, which was like nearly a 10% gain on the ETH ratio in those space of those few hours, I think, right? So it really, really like was like an adrenaline shot in the arm. And like, people were really like positive, really hyper, really like enthusiastic. It really shifted the sentiment in the Discord completely within the course of a few hours. And I honestly think that because of the things that have happened after that we'll talk about next, that's kind of been sustained. That positivity has been sustained in a sense. So it was the timing of it was just perfect, because people started saying like, this is the bottom. Like Rocket Luke said, this is the bottom. Owl changed, looking for owls changed to Owl Bull now, saying that this is the bottom. I said this is the bottom, I hope. And yeah, let's see how it goes.
Yeah, it's really cool how sentiment in crypto can just swing. It's like a bathtub with the water.
Slushing,
gosh. Yeah. Or you get that pump and everyone is so excited and like, oh, let's go. And then a day later, like, oh man, bear market, blah, blah.
But thankfully, like if you go to your next tab, the next day, some really good stuff happened as well, right?
Yeah, before I wanted to show, this is El President's node here. Just to give a little background. Right now, he's got he or she's got 103 mini pools. A whole bunch of them are pending. That looks like they're new from the other night, August 9th, August 8th. So yeah, awesome. That is really fantastic. And then, so then the following day, I believe, Index Co-op. Ooh, I forgot that the RPL had been added to their DeFi Pulse Index. They rebalance the DPI every quarter. And so they did a whole bunch of buying as well. And this is a screen. It gives you some information about the DPI rebalancing for July.
Yeah.
And, they have 10 tokens within the DPI. RPL is one of them. RPL and Lido were added back in April. And now at the end of the quarter in July, they do a rebalancing, which, by the way, it's not based on pure market capitalization. There's a weighted cap that they use. So just because RPL went down doesn't mean that they're going to sell. And just because it goes up doesn't mean they're going to buy. There's a formula that goes into it. But anyways, that's some context. But could you tell us how much did they buy and how did the price?
People were still buying from getting the POAP from El Presidente. So 50 community members shared their transactions, and that's kind of like flowing on over the next like 12 hours. And then the following evening, about 18 or 20 hours after elpresidank started buying, DPI started buying, and they bought around 200 ETH, I think, in about 13 or 14 transactions, about 15 ETH each. But that was like, every 20 or 30 minutes they were making a new transaction. So over the course of 5 or 6 hours, and it was just this really nice like hit again and again of a buy. So it really like shifted the sentiment. You know what I mean? Like, so that on that chart right there, that bottom point is literally where elpresidank started buying right there. Right.
That's
and since then,
0.131 or 132.
And then we got that first pump because of elpresidank. Then the second pump came because of DPI buying. And then as that retraced a little bit because people thought it was not sustainable, then we can see the next thing was Coinbase released an article, Coinbase Ventures, saying that we bought RPL and we're staking with Rocket Pool. So Coinbase Ventures, of course, is the venture arm of Coinbase the exchange, who's doing great things. So this was like, kind of got the community a buzz yesterday, but people were just like, wait, where is this buy? We don't see it on chain anywhere. They keep track of prominent wallets and they didn't see any movements happening. So it turned out that Coinbase was referring to the buy that they did in January or February. Yeah, and that's what they were referring to. That was announced on February 17th. So that's that then gave us another that vertical point, and it's actually the price has held on quite nicely since then. So it's been a fun few days in Rocket Pool. We're just waiting for whatever is going to be the catalyst for today's pump.
Yeah. Well, the sentiment, it's funny because a friend of mine texted me yesterday, hey, because he's one of those folks who recently started a mini pool, his first node, and had the minimum collateral, RPL collateral when he started. And of course he fell below the 10%, but then got a message I think it was yesterday that, hey, I'm no longer below the 10%. And, it was all smiles. And, cause we went from 0.013 to we're right around 0.015, I think, as of this morning. Yeah. Okay. So that, I think you're right. That's the local bottom right there at 0.013. So it's a nice little pump over this last week, and I think people are feeling better and they're feeling good about it.
And there's technical analysis is like astrology for trader bros, but traditional technical analysis points that this is a possible reversal in the market sentiment. That V shape that you see is like a V-shaped recovery. It's possible, I don't know, we'll see. There's so many other factors, and RPL's low liquidity means that things can change quickly. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, and just we all hate when the price goes down. But as not financial advice, but when I stake, I'm in for the intermediate to long term, and if you're in it for the short term, price fluctuates and getting into ETH and crypto. If you're worried about day-to-day prices, then you got to look at what are your financial goals, right? And they should match your time frames, and risk should match up with those goals. Yeah. Okay. So these day-to-day, if you got a house, you're not checking the price of your house every day because it's a long-term investment. You plan on being there for a while. So, during these times of volatility, it's good to kind of do a self-check and say, hey, why am I in this? What are my goals? What do I want? And then make sure you measure your risk. Because you could lose your hat if you're in it for short term, right? Yeah. Okay. Another thing on RPL. So, we got continued talk about RPL Tokenomics. Valdorf, he has, this has been going on for a few weeks, as we've covered on your show and the Weekly Orbit. And now he's come out with, and I really appreciate this. He's got his technical research page, and then this kind of puts it into more understandable language. I don't know, perhaps is a lack of a better term there, but I feel like I read this and I thought, oh, okay, this makes to me, this is more clear as someone who's not a real tech nut. And what's nice on here as well is there's a calculator or a simulator that he's posted, so you can play around with this, and this will be in the show notes. You can plug in the number of LEV8s you have. You can put in the number of amount of Rocket Pool and ETH that you have, and then it'll tell you like, okay, are you better off or worse off with this proposal?
Yeah.
So if you want to play around with it, feel free. It's nice, and this is an ongoing discussion that we'll be covering. But I feel like this is moving along, and along with the other RPL news this week, I'm feeling a little more bullish than I have been the last few weeks. So hope it continues. Do you have any thoughts on kind of the updated feedback that has been implemented here?
Yeah. So Waldorf, just like you said, kind of made this more accessible for people who aren't big on research and all the technical stuff that comes with that. So it's just like a lot of people are giving them really positive feedback for this version of the document, and the content is basically the same mostly, but it's just the presentation has changed and it's just a lot more polished now. So I think that's really hats off to Waldorf for making that accessible to more people. The next step for now for this whole thing is now to move it to the Rocket Pool forum and kind of bring in a new type of discussion there, and hopefully get some input from the team as well on this, because they've been absent from the whole discussion so far. So it'll be interesting to get their feedback as well.
So just to sum it up, you're thinking that the discussion through the Discord is kind of wrapping up a bit, and the next step then is to take it to the forum, where there'll be further discussion.
Yeah.
And then at some point, if there's consensus, there'll be kind of a temperature check, and we'll see if we'll do a formal proposal to have a vote.
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact process. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, on to some rETH integrations. Notional Finance has a post here that they're excited for the upcoming launch of Notional V3 on Arbitrum and Ethereum mainnet. For the first time, users will be able to borrow at fixed rates against their liquid staking tokens. For example, Rocket Pool, our ETH holder, will be able to lend at a fixed or variable rate. Just a quick, what do you think of Notional? And is this following a trend in terms of using rETH to borrow at a very low rate or no rate at all?
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't really know much about Notional until last week. Then I've been kind of learning more about them. So their version 3 will actually launch as a testnet in a couple of weeks' time, and then they'll be going to mainnet after that. Their rETH stuff seems like standard integrations that we've already seen with other products already. The one thing that's interesting here that I want to keep an eye on is they will allow RPL to be used as collateral. So you'll be able to deposit your RPL into Notional and take out a loan against your RPL, which I think would be interesting. I think they're still kind of working on the structure of that. So we don't really have much information this time, but it's something I'm going to be paying a lot of close attention to, because that will be a brand new product that we don't have anywhere else in DeFi.
Yeah, that's all new use cases are a good thing. Although I'd be just a little that you got to be careful with, such a volatile piece of collateral like RPL.
Exactly.
Boy, the price could, change quickly, and then all of a sudden you're liquidated. So, do your own research, of course, and be careful. But yeah, that's great to see. And then the next integration we have here is with Mean Finance. They tweeted out that we just enabled Rocket Pool's rETH on Ethereum, which means you can invest daily into rETH with small amounts like $5. So as I understand, Mean is a way you can dollar cost average with small amounts. And I think, are they on L2? Or is it just on mainnet at this point?
I think they're on Optimism. They're on L2. They're on L2. They're either Optimism or Arbitrum. I think it's Optimism. But you put in your stablecoin and you set your parameters for when you want to buy rETH, and it'll just buy it every day or every month, a week, whatever you choose, and it automates the whole process for you. So it's really nice.
That's really nice. That's a real nice automated tool, and especially now with if you do it on L2 where the gas fees are really low,
exactly.
It makes sense. Whereas before, when it was on mainnet and you're paying $20 a transaction, and you want to, it just doesn't economically work. But this kind of does. I mean, if you want to put in $10 a day and buy your rETH, you could, because it's going to cost you pennies on the transaction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's great.
It's really great.
We kind of covered the next one, Coinbase Ventures. They tweeted this out. This little confusing because we thought, is this new news? And as far as we could tell, this is just kind of talking about what happened back in January that you covered on your show.
Yeah. exactly. Yeah, so it's not new news, but it's still hype. So I was really
Yeah.
happy about it. Yeah,
It's kind of a
nice.
reminder too, like, hey, by the way, Coinbase Ventures is a major. They're running hundreds of not validators, mini pools.
Yeah.
They've got RPL on their balance sheet.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they are a partner. They seem
Yep.
to like really believe in it.
It's really cool.
Okay. Last thing we'll cover today is peteris. How do you say it?
Peteris.
Peteris.
Yeah.
Sorry, peteris. This kind of a neat little pilot project that Peteris is working on. And to summarize, he puts in Discord, with Rocketscan pilot, you can register a node, launch a mini pool, then split your validator key into multiple shares and register it with SSV. And they will run the validator for you, all with a few button clicks on your browser. And he puts in a little animated video here showing the... Oops. No, that's not going to work. Showing the whole process kind of sped along here. But it's 55 seconds. And within 55 seconds, he's got a mini pool that's testing.
There's lots of edits there as well to cut out like transaction wait times and stuff. But it's really simple, right? Like that. This is the kind of thing that he wants to work towards. Is the way that I understand it and the way that it's kind of will be explained is like this will be an alternative to all nodes. So you'll bring your ETH and your RPL and you'll just set it up through SSV like this through Rocket Pool, and it'll just be an alternative to all nodes, a decentralized all nodes, which is really, really exciting. And I think that it's a really cool piece of kit that he's working on.
Yes, and does Peteris plan to apply for a grant in the next round?
So he applied for a grant in the last round that was rejected, and he's working with the GMC to figure things out. I'm not sure if this was in the scope of the previous grant application, but I would expect that he will be either applying for some kind of grant or retroactive grant for this.
It's exciting. Perhaps we'll see this within the next 6 months. Finally, the last thing, I just want to give a little plug, Whack, for your next takeoff into DeFi episode, which is focused on Eigenlayer. You tweeted out, this is going to show you what Eigenlayer is, controversies around the protocol, and how to restake your liquid staking tokens. So any thoughts?
Yeah, so Eigenlayer are working in steps, and the first step was like restaking your LSTs. So you just deposit your LST into Eigenlayer. They're not doing anything with it at the moment, and we're kind of unsure what they actually are doing with it. But it's a form of airdrop hunting, really. So that's kind of like what I was showing in the video. The main thing that people are really excited about Eigenlayer is their next step, the step 2, which is when they will bring on node operators running the Eigenlayer sidecar, and like actually, performing Eigenlayer services on your node. That is the one that will be the really exciting thing to wait for and see, and the one that's really got the community a buzz. So this is just like a little bit of a filler thing until then.
Sure. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's been a good episode. We're right at about 30 minutes. And so thanks for everyone for listening and watching. Not financial advice. Keep your spirits up. Rocket Pool's got a great growth curve that we're on at the moment and in the near future. Whack, have a great week. Enjoy the wedding.
Thank you so much. I'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye.